Three guys chilling on a podcast. Social distancing because it is cool. Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to whoever and wherever you are. My name is Harry Barr. This is the 27 podcast, and as always, I'm joined by the wonderful Ben Butler and Joscel and Harry. Guys, how are you?
Yes, sir.
Konnichiwa.
Wow,
we are well, Harry. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'd say the weather's been really nice today as well.
Oh, bollocks!
It's been thundering.
We start with the weather every week.
I'm
so boring.
Fine, right.
Our listeners must think, Christ, here they go again. They've got nothing to
say. Harry with the weather.
Oh,
right.
it's
a new segment.
Well, thank you. How are you, Harry? Yes, good, thanks. The weather's been lovely, or the weather's been horrible this week, isn't it? God.
Secretly,
Harry's applying for weatherman roles for
clearly,
and that's why. Oh, the weather's going to be lovely this week, guys.
Right, okay, what a way to start our 10th episode. We did it, guys. We hit 10 episodes.
10 episodes. That's so good.
I had no idea we had this much stuff to talk about, including the weather. But
we
always backed us.
Seriously. Yeah, we seriously need to give ourselves a pat on the back because, we've thinking in retrospect, the guests that we got on. We're just sick. We're just absolutely sick.
Yeah, we're just brag, guys, but we are just amazing.
You're amazing.
With our 100 viewers a week, we are pretty top notch.
I mean, I'd say we could get Barack Obama on. You know.
Hey,
absolutely.
Speak into existence, mate. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So, guys, anything interesting happened to you this week at all?
I moved out of Oxford. I'm back home. I'm back in B-Town. Yes.
B-Town.
Yeah,
Birmingham.
back in the old
Burger
house.
King? Yeah. Oh, Birmingham. Okay, yeah.
But it's so good being back with my family, man. It's been a while, man. It's been a very long time since I last saw them. So
it has been such a long time. I don't know how you have stayed on your own for so long and not gone insane. I mean, you have slightly, but you're still
only by the.
You're still standing, so that's impressive. It's been an okay week. Not a lot has gone on, but and I can't believe that we are here. 10 episodes. We're strong. We're going to go on for another 90
at least.
And,
yes, sir.
It's been great fun. Yeah. It's been a good laugh, and I think everyone has thoroughly enjoyed themselves, and hopefully the listeners enjoy the content we are putting out.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping anyway. Now, guys, to celebrate 10 episodes, we did mention it last week, but we are going to be going through the first couple of items on the 27 Antics Board, which is a piece of paper that was blue tacked to the wall in our lounge. Whenever anything interesting or significant happened in the house, we'd write it down, and so we could reminisce upon it in the future. And it is now the future. So
there has been some
antics. Going through the first couple of things on today's episode. Now, I've got I've got a photo of the list in front of me, and the first two things are actually quotes from something that happened in the summer of 2019 that me and Ben, or Ben and myself, were being very attentive to, and that is we're going to a super over, and by the barest of margins.
Oh, come on, Harry, you've got to do it properly. So let's give the background first. If you don't know, England won the Cricket World Cup, and it was quite possibly one of the greatest white ball games of cricket ever. Mm-hmm. And shout out to all the Kiwis, because that was an unlucky year for you against England, wasn't it? First Cricket World Cup, then the rugby semi-finals, but nonetheless, it was just amazing. What a great day of cricket. And then you had Ian Smith, a New Zealand broadcaster, and he just came out with two lines that I think will stay with me for the rest of my life. On the final ball, final ball of normal play, New Zealand needed 2 runs, I think, and they're scurrying back for the second run, and he's out. He gets knocked out. Oh, no, it was England. And he just sits there and he goes, "We're going to a super over." it's just so amazing. And everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, what is going on?"
I don't think it's ever happened in like a...
No, it never happened. And then, fun fact, since then, New Zealand were the first team to be in one. And they have been in 4 out of the 5 other super overs that have happened since, and they have not won one yet.
Oh god, it's like England with
penalty. I don't think they've won one yet. Yeah. Wow, we broke that curse.
We did. We had. Fingers crossed. Anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, and then when England, it's the last ball of the super over, and Archer's bowling to. Oh, I can't remember, some Kiwi. Can't can't remember who it
It
was.
doesn't matter because they didn't win.
Dick Grumpfin, so I don't know how you pronounce his name. And they're running back for 2, and ball comes in, Roy chucks in, and Butler knocks off the stumps, and Ian's just like, England have won by the barest of margins, and he's like falling into the table in front of him. It's just, what a day. What amazing sports commentary. I think commentators, especially when you're watching a game live from home, the commentators make it. You get some, like, when you watch the NFL, they're not very passionate about when they're like,
it's very stats based. It's very like, this is like the third time on a Wednesday that this is.
Whereas like, you know, you want someone that's like Balotelli, Aguero, like you want that kind of stuff gets you.
Yeah, just like those
it makes you feel like you're there. Yeah,
those moments that are immortalized. Like, and I remember that day I was because before the Cricket World Cup I wasn't really massively into cricket, like, but Ben got me into it basically. And I remember the final day I was actually at work, and my dad came to meet me there, and we listened to it walking back home from where I worked with the headphone, like both of us with headphones in, and listened to the radio. And then we managed to get to the house just as the Super Over was starting, and like we jumping up and down, like we couldn't believe that we'd actually won. It was incredible. And then just seeing Steve Smith like, I was
in Italy at the time.
Yeah.
I was in Italy and I was meant to have dinner at 7:30, and it was like, it got into like 8:30 when I was out there, and we still hadn't gone for dinner. Like, but everyone else had left. It was just me and Rupert who just sat watching it together, and everyone else had gone for dinner, but we couldn't take our eyes off it. Dear. Yeah, that was amazing. And then, so the reason it's on our list is because when we got back to uni, I think me and Harry could not stop saying it for a good week or 2 weeks.
I think we went to, when we went to the pub on the first night, we're like, we're going to the pub! Just really stupid stuff.
Yeah.
But talking about pub and alcohol, we're students, we like a drink. We the next item on our 27 Antics was simply titled 16th of the 9th, 19, Prees at 126. This was our first night out after we'd all moved back to uni, and we had it with some good friends of ours up the road, and it's possibly the greatest Prees I've ever been to.
I think everyone was back together. So like our nice little group of friends, we were all back together, and obviously first night out was Freshers Week. So we weren't going to go to the Freshers' night out. We were going to the other, a different night out. And we all just arrived at the house. And I think we played Ring of Fire. And I'm sure, hopefully, everyone that's listened to us played Ring of Fire. And it just, what made that game of Ring of Fire is, when you pull out a jack and you have to make a rule. The rules that were made were no swearing and no saying the word drink.
Well, it was the first. It was the first two people to, like, the first two cards that were pulled out were the jacks, and it literally, the first rule was no swearing, I think was the first one, and then the second one was don't say drink. So someone would I think when it was someone's go, and they'd be like, they'd get like a king or a 2, whatever, for waterfall. They're like, oh fuck, and then you'd be like, oh drink, but then you'd be caught out because you said drink, so they'd be like, oh shit, fuck. So because this is an explicit episode of the podcast, by the way. But then we ended up just resorting to, you must consume your alcohol, and just shouting that at each other across the table.
And there was a great trend going on at the time. We were all pretty drunk. There was a great trend going on at the time. There's a song by Two Door Cinema Club. I can't remember the exact song. I think it's called
Undercover Martin.
Yeah. And it goes ding 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 ding. Oh, something like that. Duh, duh. And so basically there was a trend going around where you would slap someone's chest to the beat. And I made Harry do it with me. And I got Harry to take his top off. And we did it first time. And I got it back on right. But I didn't just tap it.
So basically, it's difficult to explain for the audio listeners, but Ben's hand started sort of about sort of like chest level. So like he, just ready to do tap tap. But literally, I was watching it. I was like, oh, cool. Building up, had a beer. And then as I got to it, Ben wound both of his arms back as far as he could and just bang, bang.
He slapped the soul out of your chest, mate. I swear.
But it was so good because it was perfect. It was
Yeah.
bang on time as well. It was
Mhm.
one take. It was just such a good evening.
Yeah.
And then we went out, and we were all in our, our nice clothes. I was wearing a nice linen shirt.
Actually, I think I was wearing this top.
linen.
I was
Yeah.
steaming.
And we got into the club, and we were all pretty drunk anyway. But it was rammed, first of all, because it was fresh as a week, even though it wasn't the freshest night.
Mhm.
And to top it off, we were all so sweaty.
Oh,
There
it
were
was like
pictures of us, and we all looked disgusting. I was wearing this linen shirt, and I just got sweat patches everywhere.
what a day that was, man. Absolutely.
But
Oh,
it
man.
was so much fun, and it was such a good night.
Yeah.
And then I think in the morning, you boys had a nice little surprise.
Oh,
Didn't you?
yes, we did.
Didn't one of
we
your
got treated to breakfast in bed.
I mean, it was
God,
incredible.
Joscel, you explain what happened.
Oh, it was beautiful. I'm just sitting there, absolutely like hanging off my face, and I get a nice knock at my door. I'm like, oh, what the hell is this? I open the door, and Ben decided to grace my presence with him, butt naked with a little blanket around his creator.
A little
pancakes.
a little penny around my crotch area. With some plate of pancakes,
Oh,
for the
my
boys.
God.
So I'd done the nice thing. I'm an early riser. I know the boys aren't, so I went off to the co-op. Other shops are available. Went and bought some pancake mixture. Made them some pancakes, and I thought I'd deliver them in a nice fashion, really. And I honestly think the boys were so shocked.
Oh, what on earth?
It was
beautiful.
It was. I remember it being really warm as well, because like the club was boiling, but I think it's also because it was like a really warm time as well. So I'd just woken up. I was quite, when you're hungover and you get sweaty and stuff, you just like, you just feel horrible. And just knock on this door. I'm like, oh god, wait a minute. So like, I'm just putting my top on. Like, what's this? I just opened the door. I physically jumped back at the sight of Ben just there smiling with a plate of pancakes, wearing a pinny. And it didn't quite crop. I thought he was just wearing like some budgie smugglers or something. And it didn't quite crop until he turned around to leave my room that he just saw his bare naked ass. I was like, oh.
If anyone has seen Mamma Mia, the original, and there is a scene where
Bill.
Rosie comes onto the boat, and Bill was there cooking eggs, and he turns around and he's like, oh, do you want any? And she's like, yeah, oh yes please. And then he turns around and his bum's on shape. Yeah, that's what I looked like, and it was nice for the boys. They enjoyed it. It was good.
Well, yeah, you had a very good summer of Slimming World as well, so you nice and peachy.
Yeah, exactly. I had to show off the new body, really.
The new rig.
Lost quite a lot of weight, so I hadn't had a girlfriend at the time either, so I had to show someone.
Guys,
Brilliant.
obviously this has been incredible. Like looking back at the antics that we've had over the year, and we will be revisiting this every 10th episode. But for now, I think it's time for us to bring on the games master. Let's say it is the one and only Mr. James Kennedy.
Hello and welcome to JK's House of Games. Oh, someone at the door.
So the way this will work is I hear that every 10 episodes we'll be playing. We'll be visiting.
Yeah, we'll
JK's
probably introduce him a
Take a
bit
trip
more.
down
But
there.
yeah.
So I will be playing a new game with you guys every episode, and this week's game will be Guess the Nightclub Night. I have a list of 12 nightclub nights. Some are real,
Okay.
some I have made up, which some of them I'm actually very proud of. You will have to tell me whether they are real or fake.
Okay.
And I will add up your totals on my lovely board behind me. And the winner, overall, is the winner of game one. Now, what I've decided is that the first person to win 3 separate games will get to the other 2 members of the podcast to do a forfeit.
Ooh.
Okay.
But what will happen is you will all send me a forfeit separately, individually, and not tell the others of what the forfeit you might want the other 2 to do is. But there is a trick to this. If you end up losing, I will present to you 3 envelopes with each of the forfeits inside. So you could end up doing your own forfeit. So the person who wins will get to pick the forfeit and could end up giving them whatever forfeit it is. So there is a lot to play for
I am
over
loving
time.
it.
I love
So
this.
think about your forfeits. You've got a while. This will not be for now. So this winner of the game, so the winner who wins today is the winner of game 1, and they have 1 in their column. So then we need to play 2 more games, or potentially more, to see who will win.
Oh, this is good.
This is
a bit of friendly competition.
The stakes have risen. I tell you, I am ready for this now.
And for those people watching on YouTube, I have the card ready.
Whoa.
So how is it going to work? Are you going to say the nightclub and we're going to be like, are we buzzing in? What?
No. So I will just say the name, and you will all tell me if you think it's real or fake. Whoever gets it right, I add to the tally.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
If it comes to a sudden death, I do have one more that I've left off the list between those 2 or 3 that are drawing to decide. Hopefully, we'll only take one, and hopefully it will be decided in normal time. But here are we ready to play?
Let's go.
We are ready. Yes, I'm ready.
So your first nightclub night, whether it's real or fake, is up to you. Stockbroker Fridays.
This is definitely a Clapham.
So would this be stockbrokers all going out on a Friday night?
Well, it wouldn't just. Well, that's the name of the night. Whether other people who turn up the dance stockbrokers, I don't know.
Stockbrokers drink free.
Stockbroker Fridays.
Now, is Stockbroker Fridays real or fake?
Real.
Joscel saying real. Fake. Ben Butler. Harry Barr.
Fake.
Fake.
I'm going to say fake because I reckon for alliteration purposes it would be stockbrokers Saturday.
I can tell you that Stockbroker Fridays is a real night out.
No!
Let's go.
There's a reason this is called Stockbroker Fridays. So
Markets are closed on us on a weekend.
what happens is, say you go in and buy it. So say, let's use, for example, gin, rum, and vodka. If everyone starts buying vodka drinks, the price of vodka goes up.
Oh,
Gin and rum goes
that's
down.
so good.
that's
so of
really
course,
nice.
then there's a sudden rush. Oh my gosh, gin is now really cheap. So then gin starts going up and vodka will start going back down. That's why. It's
So
called
where is
Stockbroker Fridays.
this?
So this is in a nightclub in Haverfordwest, which is in southwest Wales, called at the nightclub Eddie's Rocks.
Ah, okay.
I like
That's
that.
cool.
We might have to
That's
take a trip to
cool.
Wales, boys. An away days to Wales.
Exactly.
That
I
does sound
have
really
been
good.
to this nightclub. I've not been on Stockbroker Fridays, but I can assure you, as a lot of West Wales is, it's not the nicest of nightclubs, but
There goes our entire Welsh audience. Sorry, Jake. Bye. See you later.
So congratulations to Joscel for getting the first one right. You can see
Yes,
as
sir.
a number one in his column.
Nice.
Number two, your mum's house. Real or fake?
Real.
So you're telling me there's a club night called Your Mum's House?
They could be.
Oh my
It
gosh.
could not be.
Fake.
Fake for Ben. Jocel's gone real. Harry?
I reckon it's real.
I'm going to have to go real purely because I'm just thinking, like, in the mind of someone really struggling
There's
for a
got
night
to be.
out.
Somebody, an
I
events
can
manager,
tell you.
definitely went.
That your mum's house is a real night out.
Yes! I'm on the board!
Oh.
I knew it. There must be an events manager out there being like, let's have a night called Your Mum's House.
But what, Your Mum's House? It sucks.
Do you
Where
get,
is that?
do you get
So your
lasagna or
mum's
something when
house.
you go in?
Your mum's house is at XOYO in London.
Ooh. Sounds
So
snazzy.
quite a famous nightclub. I've also been to XOYO. I, again, haven't been to your mum's house.
Is there a reason why it's called Your Mum's House?
I do not know this. I will have to do some more research for you and let you know.
Okay.
But I think it's
That just sounds like...
as
Yeah.
Harry said, well, what should we call a night out? And I think they just settled on your mum's house.
Your Mum's House. My gosh.
I mean, I'll tell you why, actually. It's probably because when someone calls you up and goes, where are you going tonight? And you go, your mum's house.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that is quite funny.
Oh, dear.
So, just in the lead with 2, Harry on 1, Ben yet to get on the board. Number 3, Wacky Smacky.
False.
Giselle is going false. Giselle, you're very quick. Giselle even knows his nights out too much well.
But he's you know, he
I'm
grew
gonna
up
go
in
fake
Birmingham.
Of course. So we've got
Was it
2
Wacky-
fakes, Harry.
Was it Wacky Smacky?
Wacky Smacky. Wacky Smacky.
I'm going true,
Doesn't sound right.
but I think it's somewhere up north.
Let's go to Wacky Smacky.
Okay.
Bristol for the drug scene.
Wacky Smacky is a fake night out. I
Yes.
come up with that one myself. So well done to Joscel and Ben. Ben, you are on the board.
Finally. Mate, just tell you.
Joscel
Steaming
yet
ahead.
to get one wrong.
I'm on a mad one.
Number 4. Gavin and Basie.
True.
And Basie.
That's got to be true.
That is not true. Okay, you have found your your night out. So it's just quality.
So we've got Ben Butler going through, Joscel,
True. I'm going true.
through, and Harry.
That's fake. I'm saying that's fake.
Okay, that's fake. I can reveal to you that Gavin and Basie is a night out of my own making. It does not exist.
It's
JK. that
JK
is
loves a
great
pun. He
night
loves a
out.
pun.
I was sitting there doing my research and I thought, well, I need to come up with some fake ones. And I was struck by a lightning bolt, and I'm so proud of that one.
Gavin and Basie. That is so
Gavin and
good.
Basie. For those that are listening that run nightclubs, that has been trademarked. You cannot steal it.
Property
My
of J.
night out.
Kennedy.
Basically.
Number 5. See you next Thursday.
True.
True for
True.
Joscel.
I'd say
Ben?
true.
Uh,
I've
it's
heard.
a bit. See you
I
next
don't know why it rings a bell.
Thursday. I'm gonna say true because it seems so odd. Like,
Very random.
Yeah.
So we've got one. Ben Butler has buzzed in first with true. Joscel,
True.
true,
Yes.
and
sir.
Harry Barr.
I'm going fake, and I'll tell you the reason afterwards by why I think so.
This is a real night out
I knew it.
Yes.
I don't know why. It rang a bell. I don't know why.
at a nightclub called Factory, which I think is in Manchester.
yeah.
Can I say the reasoning for
Why-
why? I thought it was
why-
fake?
Sorry, you
I don't know
said
why it
true.
rang a bell.
Joscel with true and Ben with true, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Can I
Why
say the
do you
reason for
think
why
it
I
was
thought it was
fake?
fake though? So
Yes.
Well,
the reason why it might ring a bell is because you've got the "see you next Tuesday" as in like the abbreviation for that naughty word. Like, oh, he's a bit of a "see you next Tuesday." So I thought if JK's changed the name just for like, so I thought "see you next Tuesday" might be an actual night, but he just changed the name of the night. That's why.
Yeah.
Reasoning.
plausible reason.
Mm.
Well, that reasoning didn't get you anywhere, Harry. In last place with 2. Ben, you are
I think
joint
I'm in-
last place with 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say I went to.
Joscel taking the lead with 4.
Yeah.
There's still time. There's still time.
There's still time. Where this is number 6, so we'll be halfway through after this one.
Mhm.
Number 6.
I hope you're all playing along at home.
Make a note of your scores, and if you beat any of the podcast stars, send them an Instagram message.
Why don't you send us a letter of how you did?
_podcast. Let them know how you do, or send any messages to them of any funny nightclub names that you know of, or if you've got any
Yeah.
fake suggestions.
You can tell JK
does.
has done some marketing.
So here we are. Number 6. London, Lundoff.
London.
Lundoff.
That's fake. That's
That's fake. That has got to be fake.
So we have 2 straight away fakes. And
The fact
Harry
they had to
Barr-
emphasise that. London.
And,
Londoff.
Real.
Oh.
You're going real.
I'm going real.
I can tell you that the famous night of London, Lundoff, happens on a Friday night in my head. It's
Ah.
yes.
Happened on a Friday night in my head.
That's
I made that
JK
one up
after he finishes work on a Friday, isn't it? Right.
Let's go to London.
Go from London,
Londoff.
Lundoff.
during the day when I'm doing my job, it's London, but when it's time to party on a Friday, it's London. So we are halfway through. Joscel in the lead with 5, then
Nice.
with 3. Harry taking up the rear, bringing up the rear. Sorry.
Thank you, the rib. Jeez.
Can you tell this is my first time hosting a quiz show?
Nice.
Bradley Walsh, I'm coming for your job. Number 7.
Oh, God.
uncontrollable urge.
True. I say
I think that
true.
would suck for a name. I'm going fake.
Giselle's gone true. Ben going
Yeah.
fake. Mr. Harry Barr,
True.
Let's go to uncontrollable urge.
it is true.
Yes,
Oh,
So
what a
Harry and
boring
Giselle-
name.
Yeah. Uncontrollable
Exactly.
urge.
JK's names are far more fun.
Now,
Got to get in the mind.
this is at a nightclub. I'm not sure where it is.
You're
but the nightclub is
losing.
called Dalaton. And I don't know why, but I think it might be called Uncontrollable Urge because on a Friday or a Saturday night, you've had a busy week of work, you have that uncontrollable urge to hit the town, paint it red.
To hit the town.
There we have it. So that's number
Nice.
7. Number 8, Saucy Fridays.
Saucy Friday.
Are you feeling saucy on a Friday?
Bit more, yeah.
Grab some
I do.
chips and come
I
to
feel
Saucy Friday.
Ben feeling saucy on Fridays? Harry, do you feel saucy on a Friday?
Oh, I feel very saucy on Fridays.
Giselle, I know you feel saucy on Fridays.
It
I
feels
feel
saucy on
saucy on
Wednesdays,
Friday.
actually.
Well, I think Giselle's probably saucy every day of the week.
He's wicked, yeah. Yeah, I think that's true.
Ben's going true.
I think it's false.
You're going false. And
Yeah, I
Harry
think so.
Barr,
I'm going fake.
it's a real night out. So Ben,
Yes!
getting the point right.
I needed that.
That is at, I think it's an Imperial College London night out at their student union. So it's at Imperial in London.
Of course.
Saucy
Oh.
Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
Number 9, Tragic Tuesdays.
Sorry?
Tragic Tuesdays.
Can you put it in a sentence?
Shut up.
Tuesday. I feel like going to Tragic Tuesdays tonight. You felt saucy.
Tragic
You felt
Tuesday.
saucy on Friday, hungover on Saturday.
It's
quiet
a
on
bit
the
tragic
Sunday,
going out on a
saving
Tuesday.
your money
Yeah,
on the
tragic.
Monday.
True.
We have one true.
True. I'd say
Tragic
true
to
as
go
well.
out on a Tuesday.
It's
True.
fake.
And
I'm not
Harry?
winning anyway, so I'm going to say fake.
Tragic Tuesdays is a fake night out that I
Yes!
Damn!
The comeback is on. The comeback is on.
That is also a good. You're nowhere near Giselle. He's like 2 points ahead of us.
It's 6 to Giselle, 4 to Ben, and 4 to Harry.
Come on, I'm
Yeah.
coming for you, Ben. I'm coming.
So very much all still to play for. Giselle,
How many questions are
what's on
left?
your heels?
Wow.
So we are coming up to question 10, so 3 more.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, so Giselle has to get the next 3 wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Number 10. Dirt.
Dirt.
That it? It's dirt.
Just dirt.
That's true.
As in, like mud.
True. Wait, no, I think.
I think that's true. I'm saying that with chest. That's true.
Giselle is going true.
Yeah. Let's go to dirt. That's hard. I'll actually go to that. If someone said to me, "Oh, do you want to go to dirt?" Oh.
Fake.
I'm saying
Fake
it's real.
and Harry,
I'm saying it's real.
you're saying it's real. I can reveal that dirt is a real night out.
Let's go.
Ah.
Harry, fancy going to dirt?
Like Ben, he doesn't know it exists.
I'm not going to lie to you. Of all these 10 I've read, I want to go to all of them. They all sound fun.
I really want to go to Gavin and Basie.
Gavin
Gavin and Basie.
Yeah,
Gavin and Basie does need to happen. Right, number 11. Gold teeth. Gold teeth.
I'm going to say false.
Fake. Yeah,
Giselle's
fake.
going fake. Ben's also
Yeah.
going fake. Harry,
Real. I'm going to say I'm real.
you are saying
Harry.
real.
Do you want to go to
And
gold
Harry.
teeth?
You would be correct. Gold teeth is a real
Yes!
night out.
Come on! Gretchen!
What?
At again, I'm not sure where this nightclub is, but the nightclub is called Deaf Institute. It rings a bell. I think it's quite a big, famous
The
nightclub.
Deaf Institute.
Yeah, Deaf Institute. Gold Teeth is a real night out at Deaf Institute. Now,
Well,
going
damn.
into the final question, we have Giselle on 7, Harry on 6, Ben on 4. So, Ben, you're playing for pride. Harry, you are playing to draw level with Giselle to go into a sudden death question.
Sudden death. Oh.
Oh.
And Joscel, you are playing for the victory.
What a first game.
Question 12.
Yeah.
For the victory of game 1, we have Alice in MD Land. Alice in MD Land.
I think that's fake.
Definitely fake.
Joscel is going fake.
I'm going to have to mix it up and go
Empty
true
land.
just to eke this out a little bit longer.
I can reveal
That's
that
got to be
Alice
fake.
in MD Land is a fake night out. Joscel,
There's no way you could name a night.
Alice in
Alice
MD Land.
well, I could. That's what I named it. I named that myself.
They were very inventive. They were very good, Jake.
Quality.
Game
Absolute
1.
quality.
We have Joscel victory with 8 correct answers out of 12. Harry in second place with 6 out of 12. And Ben, sadly, in third place with 5 out of 12, which means, Joscel, you are game 1 winner. You are
Solid
on the
2-2 there. A
leaderboard.
solid 2-2 performance from Harry there, you know.
Well done all round, boys. I have some other games in mind. It's yet to be decided what game 2 will be, but I have got some up my sleeve. But you'll all be ready.
Thank
for
you
when
so
that-
much, Jake.
Fantastic.
Thank
I'd
you.
like to thank our sponsor, which is My Family Pictures. Fantastic sponsor, fantastic
Little
sponsor.
Kennedys over there.
Yes. Thanks for playing JK's House of Games.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks
you
for
for
having
coming on.
us in
Thank you
JK's
very
House
much.
Games.
That was
Thank
incredible.
you very much for having me, chaps. Well played all round, but especially well done to Mr. Joscel, man in Rambona.
Oh dear.
Bye.
Bye, boys. Thank you very much.
Another massive thank you to JK for coming on today. And for this week's Nothing to Watch, we decided to watch 13th, which covers the boom in the prison population in the US over the last 40 years, especially in the black and other minority inmates. So, guys, what were your thoughts on the documentary as a whole?
It was very eye-opening, I think. Very, really hit hard. Like, I know it was about the criminals and, like, you know, the population of blacks, and it was a lot of it was about the way presidents went about basically becoming. Isn't it amazing how you can basically be elected president by going, I will be strict and tough on law and order.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it just highlights to me how much of a bad place America is at the moment, and not even at the moment, just has been. Like it never has had
There's
solidarity
corruption on all levels. There's corruption on all levels in America.
It's like I've spoken.
That film that
What, Birth of a Nation?
it was the best film ever.
The Birth of a Nation.
Yeah, and it was just painting black people as criminals and cannibals, and it wasn't even a black actor; it was a white person in blackface. Like I just sums it up really. And that was the rebirth of the KKK and whatnot, and here we are now, and it's still a prominent thing.
Yeah, it was. I've got friends that for America basically just say, "Oh yeah, the country's broken for criminal justice." Like it's just.
To be fair, I could go on a massive spiral about the criminal justice, and one of the main things they were talking about was they got they focused on one boy who got arrested for doing something that he didn't do, and he needed to, so basically in America you can post bail, so you can get, you know, they give you go to court and they put a bounty basically on you to say if you pay this then we'll let you go. So in over here you can't do that because it's stupid. You can't do that. You have a bail hearing where a barrister will represent you and say why you should be on bail, and the majority of people do go on bail because it pretty much, you know, it's too much of a too much to, unless it's like a really, you know, wild criminal or something, then you're going to get bail. And the fact that the police profit and the government profits from people paying bail just sums up to me how wrong it is. And I know this is, well, it's not off topic, but the 4 officers that were being charged for the killing of George Floyd, one of them their family sets up a GoFundMe page.
Oh no, I remember seeing that.
To
Yeah,
pay off his
Yeah.
$1 million bail, and it has been paid off.
please.
How can you give money to someone who has been part of a murder of an innocent person and justify giving not like maybe $5, but enough that it can get to $1 million? That's just not like, it's not like a couple of £100, is it? $1 million. It just, and that just illustrates to me what is wrong with America and what is wrong with society at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the
I went off on a bit of a tangent there, but it all kind of fits in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, America is just a ruined place.
It does all fit in. Doesn't
yeah.
it?
Well, obviously, just what were your thoughts on the documentary as well?
No, 100%. Like I fully agree with Ben in the sense that when I watched it, I mean, it hit me a lot more than probably other people did. Obviously, being black myself, like it was something that I watched, and like when I told you boys when I watched that, I was like, oh my god, like, I genuinely was crying because it was an injustice that even though I wasn't a part of, I still felt. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So like I was still witnessing it. I was still seeing. I mean, everyone knew that the criminal justice system in America is just completely like it's just. I've always said it's corrupt. I've always said it was corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
But to watch it and see how everything was unfolding, especially with everything that's happening recently right now, and obviously Ben mentioning the whole bail thing, it was just a massive combination of like anger and upset, and like it just hit me so hard. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. Honestly ridiculous.
Something they don't have in America as well, which is over here, you have a right to a fair trial. You don't have that in America. So it's part of the EU Human Rights Act that you have a right to a fair trial. So there is no such thing as a plea bargain here. And in America, they use plea bargains way too much. What was it? It was like 97% of their cases are dealt with by plea bargain before it hits trial, which is so wrong. You cannot, because they lie in plea bargains as well. So, and say robbery, I believe over here has, well, it depends on the aggravation or not. Okay, I'll say theft. So some theft has like a maximum sentence of 5 years. So in America, what they would do, to use that example, is they would sit down with, say it was a young person who they know they could take advantage of. And they will go, oh, you're looking at 5 year sentence, say if he stole a chocolate bar, like something so small. And they'll go, we'll let you, if you plead guilty now and take our bargain, we'll give you 3 years instead of the 5 years that you're going to get if this goes to trial, because you will be found guilty. It's not, they completely ignore the fact that they have to face a jury.
Have a fair trial.
And it's, it is, and the majority of people take it because they also, you know, lawyer fees are so expensive anyway, but, and it's because the police like proudly vulnerable people in these situations, especially a lot of the youngsters. And then what it goes on to say, as soon as you've got a criminal record, you're not allowed to vote in America, is it? You then struggle to get loans, you can't get a mortgage, you can't get all this stuff. Like, it's just ridiculous. And their society is wrong. And don't get me wrong, the criminal justice system here is in pieces as well. But I just think America just magnifies what is so bad about it.
Well, the sort of going back to the documentary, literally in the first minute, they say a stat which blew my mind. It was the USA has a population of 300 million, which is 5% of the world's population. Yet it has a quarter of all prisoners in the world. I'm like, how can a country with such a small population? Well, I mean, it's still a massive population, but in the grand scheme to the 7.7 billion in the world, how can they have a quarter of all incarcerated citizens?
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because going back to what I was saying about the president stuff and law and order, Americans truly believe that punishment is the only way that you can. What is it in the 13th Amendment? It says, unless to punish.
Oh yeah, there was it.
And
no person should be like subject to slavery unless they are serving punishment for a crime.
Yeah.
And then it goes off into, it follows all the economics behind prisons and things, and how. The security, the food, and the food is so bad, but there's this company profiting, 100 million a year off it or something like that because they've got the contract.
Prison is a business.
The US has the private prison system, and it's crazy to think like something's, you know, obviously there are people who rightfully, well, you know, like actually do commit crimes and should be in jail punished, but like because they've got the private system there, they're incentivized just to incarcerate more people so they can pay you know, so they can make profit off it. So there are people going to prison for really, really minor drug charges, like where for possession or something, being put away because then they're making a profit from it rather than like trying to actually, you know, rehabilitate them or you know, sort of actually like punish people who actually need to be punished there.
Facts.
Yeah.
There were those really harrowing clips at the end as well of, you know, the police basically shooting all these black people.
Yeah, and it's like I showed
just
really from this person's family, and it's like literally just it has about 15, 20 like, you know, police cam footage, people on people's phone footage, and it's crazy just like seeing how completely.
I think there was a line by one of the people who said, all the protests are great, blah blah blah, but the thing that has saved it, or not even saved it, but brought the Black Lives movement to the centre stage is the use of social media, and it is forcing. He said it's not even, it is forcing people to have a conversation about it.
Yeah,
and that is so prominent. You know, like the amount of killings and things that have definitely happened where police did not have body cameras on, and even now some of the body cameras go missing,
deliberately switched off,
the
or
footage is lost. And exactly, the footage switched off. It just shows that, you know, there is a real issue.
Yeah, but it's difficult to talk about, but something that I didn't know was sort of like had Nixon and Reagan like back in the 70s and 80s, who put in these things, and then we're still feeling the effects from that. And even when like, so like my knowledge of American politics doesn't really go much beyond, you know, sort of like President Bush in 2004 or whatever. But it was the fact that Bill Clinton, in order to try and get the Democratic vote, ended up adopting right-wing strategies like supporting criminal punishment.
I was going to say that, how the Democrats had to basically go that way.
Like minimum sentencing laws, and I think he introduced the three strike system as well, which is traditionally like a more Republican view. But in order to try and get votes, the Democrats moved to that, and it's still being felt now, like, you know, almost 30 years later.
Yep.
But then going off that, there's that whole organization called ALEC who are creating all these laws and stuff. Yeah. What is that? That is outrageous. I genuinely can't believe that. And they just have that guy who's part of them just going, yeah, well, you know, we're just suggesting stuff to them and they take it on board. And I just think, how on earth can you have that sort of like a body doing that?
Yeah.
Well, it's also
a body full of the CEOs of all the top companies and politicians going, oh, let's make, you know, life better for us.
Yeah. Well, it's also like I think Walmart.
Some of the companies that are part of that as well. Like what?
Well, like
all of the big companies will be part of that.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh yeah. Well, like so, it was Walmart. I think when something blew up. I think it was around the Trayvon Martin case, which they covered quite extensively. But like in Florida, there's a law called the State Your Ground law, which basically means if you feel threatened, you can kill someone and then not see any effects from it. There was this one guy, I can't remember his first name, but it's Zimmer. His surname was Zimmerman, and he was living in a gated community. There was a black kid there, but like he called the police, and the police said, "Don't."
Oh my God! Yeah.
But the guy still pursued him, tackled him, and then shot him. And then because he said that Trayvon Martin was threatening him, even though he was the one actively pursuing him, he didn't suffer any
consequences. Yeah.
And that was from a law introduced by ALEC.
ALEC, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, you have all these companies like Walmart withdrew their support pretty quickly after that happened, but the family, like the owners, the founding family of Walmart still pay donations toward ALEC. So the companies have gone, but the people are still there donating to it.
But then it was interesting. What I found most interesting is how prisoners are basically now slaves, and going back on the economic thing, like how they are doing all of the potatoes in Ohio.
Yeah.
or whatever, and then Victoria's Secret using where Victoria's Secret and JCPenney were using inmates to make their clothes.
And like the thing is,
are you joking me?
They say that they're paying them, but because they're inmates, they legally don't have to pay them any form of minimum wage. So they pay them like 10 cents an hour, so like practically nothing. And that's how they're able to like legally do it, because they're
but then as they say, that is sweatshop work. It's not the same environment, but it is the same thing. You're getting literally nothing, and people all talk about how fast fashion is destroying the world, and the effects it in India and in all these Asian countries where their sweatshops are. But that is a sweatshop in America, and people just it doesn't matter because whatever, they're prisoners. So it's the same thing. It is literally the same thing.
So something I've just thought about as well. Like, so because of that, I do wonder how many companies that sort of say pride ourselves made in the USA, when actually it is made in these sweatshop conditions, and they're paying pennies on the dollar or whatever for people to actually do the work.
Well, it was interesting because they obviously did out JCPenney and Victoria's Secret for doing it, so they must have been the only people doing it. So I don't think they would have been afraid to out everyone else. And I know now they've moved on from the inmate stuff, but I won't be supporting those companies. I don't think.
I mean, I will never buy anything from Victoria's Secret ever again. Not that I had bought anything from them before.
Well, if you ever had a girlfriend, Harry, you have to let them down easy.
But
yeah, it was just a really harrowing documentary, but really eye-opening, and I definitely think it's worth watching. It's part of the Black Lives Matter collection on Netflix at the moment. So.
And following on from the documentary and what Lily was saying last week about recommending the book, I have actually bought Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race, and I will be reading it over the next few weeks. I'm quite slow to read it, but I will give my thoughts on it once I finish it.
Good man.
Lovely.
So Ben, what are we watching next week?
We've got such an exciting episode next week. We are watching The Big Flower Fight, which is on Netflix. For those of you that haven't watched it yet, if you like The Great British Bake Off, you're going to like The Big Flower Fight. It is basically The Great British Bake Off for flowers. And they make these amazing sculptures and designs and clothes out of flowers and anything to do with gardening, and it's just so cool. It is so wholesome and just rewarding, and it feels great. I just love it. I absolutely love it. And to make it even better, I've gone out and I've got us two people from the show, Sarah and Jordan, who did pretty well. I'm not going to ruin where they came for those of you that haven't listened. They are two American ladies from Baltimore, and they are coming on the show to talk to us next week. They're coming onto the show next week to talk to us.
Where are they from?
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Yeah,
they're coming on the show next week to talk to us about their experiences, how they got into floristry. They're not allowed to talk about the logistics of the show. I'll try and sneak in a few questions, but yeah. So Netflix is pretty tight on what they can actually talk about. But that's gonna be really exciting. You need go watch The Big Flower Fight if you haven't seen it. It is really good. And yeah, as I said, they do pretty well. I'm not gonna tell you where they come, but it is gonna be exciting, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic, Ben. And I'm really looking forward to watching it. Have some nice, wholesome content to just relax to after this pretty.
Yeah, just because the last few weeks we've had some pretty heavy, hard-hitting stuff. So this is a bit different, and you can just sit there and just be like, wow, you can just be in awe at the amazing things they make. And there's one pair called Jan and Henk, and they're really good, but their outfits for this show are top notch. Like Henk has like different hair every week. One week it's a watermelon. One week he turns it into like a fire. Like it's so cool.
That sounds great.
And they just have amazing outfits. So yeah, that's really fun to watch as well. So yeah, that's what's happening.
Thank you very much for listening again this week, guys. Yet again, share if you liked it. Rate us on Apple Music, like us on YouTube, subscribe.
Apple Music. Apple Music. Are we on Apple Music?
Apple
Podcast. We got those
iPhone. I don't have an iPhone, Ben.
Oh, we got those tunes out apparently.
Your album coming soon, guys. Anyway, thank you very much for listening, guys. We'll see you next week.
Adios.
Bye.
Goodbye.